We're chasing comedy, working on jokes, working on bits, seeing what sticks, seeing what stinks. We're Brian and Dustin, and we're chasing comedy.
I was talking to somebody yesterday about I want to shoot a thing where I decide to do crowd work. I basically it's a behind the scenes on how crowd work clips get created, but we basically do it like they're all scripted. The joke is that all crowd work clips have lots of hours of rehearsal. Gotta go. Hours of rehearsal.
I think we talked about this before. That's a funny idea. You know what I love is this would be really funny for you for that is you're sitting in a chair and you're doing a casting for like unruly audience member. And
we have auditions. They have resumes. We look them over. And then they have to say, "You suck," and that's their one line. You know what I mean?
And like, it's not convincing enough.
Not funny. And we just go, and then we go, I like him. Like a whole casting people.
Yeah, he reminds me of my father. That's going to work perfect in the meltdown that
I like what you did with that. I like this guy, I think. And then there's hours of rehearsal where we light the thing and, did I
tell you that story? I think I have. I probably mentioned it on here about Patrice O'Neal, how he used Leah as a plant in the audience. Did I tell you that story?
I think you told me this.
Yeah, and it was when he was. I'll tell it again. It's an interesting story.
Yeah. You told me this. Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing all the the reverse cowgirl and the dolphin. Yeah, and then he had He's like, does any women have anyone? And how about you? And then she like stood up and like we wrote like 10 of them.
Right. That's hilarious. Yeah.
So she's just rattling them off like like it was nothing.
Right.
And then but he never said she's a comic or anything. It was just like she was in random. She's sat back down and drank her drink or whatever. Yeah. But people probably do it more than we realize. I think somebody like Hofstede or some of those guys, it just feels a little too planned.
Some of it. I mean, and why wouldn't it? Everything in show business is so like if you watch what's AGT, I love those America's Got Talent clips where the backstage people are shocked at the talent being shown by the person they put through like an extensive audition process. Like everyone can't believe that this singer has this voice. That is the whole point that they got on the show. And it's like, guys, just, you know what I mean? I know it's, but you can't, but that's the whole point. It has to look artificial. It has to look spontaneous and not real.
Yeah, they make it look like they found him at the car wash 20 minutes before showtime.
Yeah. It's like if you've ever auditioned for one of those things or gone through the extensive jump through process that you filtering, like
3 videos. Yeah.
And every spot, the guy backstage is like, and he looks at the camera. The guy backside, the person starts singing, and I can't believe it's the same guy. Every time he's like, and he just looks at the camera.
Yeah, well, that's the gig.
Like
that's the gig.
Oh my God,
that's the MC gig. You're supposed to be like, those guys are great. Yeah, it's like that's
And you
they may not have heard him. The MC may not have heard him. I think that's kind of a separate thing.
I know, but to act surprised that a singer that's on a professional show has a good voice.
That's the setup. The setup is always like some guy that looks like he's on the spectrum, or some guy looks like he just crawled out of a trash can. Some guy who's like 72. And then they have some, like who was the one that won it that year, that American Idol, that Susan what was her name? She had
Susan Boyle.
Yeah.
Susan Boyle. Yeah. That's the ideal candidate for one of those things. Yeah. Somebody that looks like they should be, cooking biscuits or something. And then they have this voice and you're like, what the, they sound like Kate Bush or something, but it's just a funny thing.
We should be the ones that talk because we're the most in our stand-up thing. So much of what we do is the whole skill of it is to make it appear as spontaneous, and people who come into the show that have never seen us before, there are that contingent that still think everything we say is off the top of our heads.
Yeah, well, there's comics through the years that kind of had that kind of setup where it's just like, I mean, if you looked at Stephen Wright, you didn't think he was going to be that funny. You looked at Sam Kinison, you didn't think he was going to be so rock and roll. I mean, even, you know, like there was certain times when, you know, maybe later in life was Kinison, but when he just had a trench coat on, he's fat. Like, you didn't think he was going to be so cool, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's the setup. And then they open their mouth and you're just like, oh, didn't see that coming.
Right. Yeah, no. And, but the other thing is I have a tendency to act with kind of just, you know, annoyance when I see that the artifice of show business on a show like AGT and reality TV, which is they have writers for, you know, because they have to have conflict. They have to invent it because real life is not that interesting, you know, on a daily basis. So they have to invent stuff that, oh, this person said this about you. Oh, look what her reaction was to this. And it's like, come on, guys. If anybody's done a show like that, which I have, you know, I did I did a prank show, one of those prank shows. And, you know, the people in the prank who we were pranking caught on very quickly that they were on some kind of show.
Yeah.
like, you know, it was really funny that to watch these people have to pretend that they don't know that this whole thing is ridiculous, that what's going on is completely, I was in makeup as an old man, you know, and my makeup was so bad. It was obvious. The makeup was so bad. I was supposed to look like a 99-year-old man, and it looked like caked on, like I had some kind of plastic mask on. And these people were supposed to actually believe that they're being, you know, eventually they all had this look like, all right, what is this really about? You know? But they had to play along with it on camera.
Well, that's the thing. The early days of that stuff were really funny because nobody would think like, you know, with Knoxville and all those guys and, you know, who's the guy, Eric Andre. And like, you know, now you know who those, when Eric Andre does like a current prank, I'm like, people know who you are. Like, I don't buy any of this. At this point. There's a guy I watch. Have you seen the guy? He has a beard and he's like a weightlifter guy. And he's like,
that guy, the short guy. He's great. That's
but what's funny about it is like if you're a gym head, that guy's in your feed. Like you've seen, and so when these guys act surprised that he can lift something with one arm or whatever, I'm like, dude, you know it's the guy. Like you know, after a while.
Yeah, but I think you're right, except for the fact that we assume it's this micro celebrity thing. I think what's his name?
Maybe not. Yeah, you're right. Some people don't know.
You know, like this whole like Charlie Kirk is a perfect example. Like Charlie Kirk, no one knew who Charlie Kirk really was. There was this, but he's a micro celebrity. He has a tremendous following within a small parameter. Matt Ruby.
I think it was pretty big. He was pretty big.
No. I think we're exposed to that.
If you're a phone person, he's big. If you're a scroller, you know who he is.
Yes, of course. My point being that like there are people who I think Matt Ruby wrote a great column about this. Comedian Matt Ruby. He was talking about micro celebrity. I think he was talking about, and he said that people sell out the Garden now that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah,
and that's unheard of. You know, there's musical acts, there's comedy acts that aren't like that people that aren't like big names that sell out the Garden, that literally sell out the Garden.
Well, they're big names, just not in, you know, a particular. The world's bigger than we realize. You know, like Nate's doing 3 sold out nights at the Garden, and there's still people going, who? And
but Nate, I think Nate is, because of SNL, because of like a lot of exposure.
Me, there's still people that say, who is he? We've been in arenas and securities is like, so what do you do?
Who is this guy? Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true.
So, because he's not, you know, like a face on a sitcom every day or whatever. Stand up will still always be this kind of jazz of the art world kind of thing, where it's like if you're in it and you get it. But if you don't watch this craft, or you're not following it, or you're not into it, like, you know, the fan base is, it's like you just don't know who people are unless they're, you know, everybody knows who Jimmy Fallon is because he's on a thing that's constantly on, and it's like every single night he's on in our face, and so they're going to know who somebody like that is. But if you're straight stand-up, Brian Regan, people still have no idea who that is. He's $1 million comic. He's been around. He's one of the best. People still have no idea who that is.
And he's been in movies, you know.
Well, his movies didn't really pop, but
no, but I'm saying had played small parts in movies. I mean, how many people would you'd recognize small character actors like Kevin Pollak or something? You'd go, I know that guy from somewhere, but and he's a pretty big. He's been in some massive movies, but I'm talking small time guys. You go, who's that guy? He looks familiar. I know him from somewhere. Yeah.
Well, it just depends on how much media do you take in is really, I think that's the key question. Is like, how much media do people take in? If you're 55 and up, you're probably not taking in the same amount of media 30 and under is taking in. So you may not know a neighbor gets it. You may not know certain people just because you're not taking it in like the younger generation is.
Yeah. So I was at a voiceover. I was at a voiceover audition a couple of years ago, and there was a guy, and I go, I know you from somewhere, right? And the guy just went, yeah. Like, and the guy, he was auditioning for this, radio spot along with me. And I said, what? And it's his name is John Fiedler. Now you go, who's that? But he was on The Odd Couple, and he was on Star Trek, and he was on Bewitched. Like he always played like a sleazy accountant, and he was in great episodes. He played Mr. Hengist on the Star Trek episode, who was a serial killer, and he's a Weasley guy with bald head. He was on the Twilight Zone, like he was that guy, and you're going, I know you from somewhere,
Yeah. Well, I think those guys are always happier than somebody who's ultra famous, because it's like they're making good money. They're always working, and they don't have to deal with the fandom of people interrupting their brunch,
like we do.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people that have that. TJ Miller was somebody that's like, every time we'd go out, somebody would want a picture. We couldn't have one conversation without somebody stepping in wanting a picture of the guy from Deadpool. And so it was like, you see it weighing on him, and it's just like, after a while, it's just like, it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've seen it happen. I'm watching it with Nate. Like, it's, people, with Nate, we're playing clubs, and now he's got head of security and all these people, and it's like a team, and it's just changed,
So 2 weeks ago, TJ was at the Strip. Yeah. At the Strip, and there's literally, I'm not even joking, there's 7 people there in the Strip, in the audience.
Hilarious.
And I was next, and TJ walked in and bumped me, right? Like he asked me, could he go up? And I was like, okay. and he bumped me, and it's like, oh, there's the guy from Silicon Valley, and and it was just funny because I go, sure, whatever, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter at this point. But he went up, and I went up. It was just like seven people. It was like, big time show business, that's our world,
No, I remember being on stage at Dangerfields, and it was literally, 7 people was a big night for them. And it was probably 4 people. And Chris Rock came in, and I was on stage, and they were just kind of like motioning to bring him up. And so I brought him up to like 5 people. And, it's just so funny, where it's just like, even that's a funny thing about stand-up. It doesn't matter if there's like 2 people in the crowd. You're still going to have that same mentality of like, oh, this is a big deal. This is a big deal right now. And even though, 5 people, but that's when I ran Boston Comedy Club, like Chappelle would walk in, and there would be like 6 people in the crowd, and then I would send barkers out. And it's funny, Nate was a barker, Pete Holmes, all these guys, and they would go out, and sometimes they would be on the street, say, Dave Chappelle's in there right now. This is the height of like the Chappelle show, and people wouldn't believe them. No, that was the funniest part, where people would just like, a whole crew of kids that would have loved seeing Chappelle would just be like, yeah, whatever, dude. Yeah. And they would just keep going. And then sometimes we'd bring people up to the stairs. They'd have to peek in that window and like actually see him before they believed us. But it's like, sometimes we would go from 6 people in like 30 minutes, we'd have a sold out room, just because we just hit the streets. But there was a lot of people that just never believed us.
Yeah, no, people have no clue. And saying, he's in there, because they lie all the time, those Barker guys.
Oh yeah,
the Barker guys in Times Square. They go, Chris Rock has played it there.
Tina Fey,
Tina Fey, and then they people come in there, and they're like, what the? They told me that told me Robin Williams was going to be performing tonight. Even if he's dead for 20 years, I don't care.
Well, the funny thing about those shows was like whenever you've done one where people said all that stuff, the worst spot of that show is the last spot, because then they finally realize that these people aren't coming, and then you're the last one.
Yeah, that's right.
And you have to be the guy that's not Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And so, because if you go up early on those shows, they still think some wild stuff's going to happen and somebody big's going to pop in. But it's like, but once you go last, it's like they've already paid. They're mad.
So speaking of that, here's a joke. I want to. This is a joke. And this is one of those things where it's a throwaway line, but I thought it was funny, and I haven't had the guts to do it yet because I feel like it might undermine my set at the Cellar. If I do it. As I go, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Comedy Cellar, where on any night of the week you can see some of the biggest names in comedy, and on an average night, me. Okay,
yeah.
Which I think that's funny to set up the fact that I'm not a big name and start doing some stuff about that, but I don't know if that's like undermining my set. You always tell me don't do that. But
I think it's the club too. I think using the word average is probably the problem with that. It's like you get another word where it's just like, or me, I think even just leaving it out, it's like you might see the biggest comics in the world or me. I think even leaving out average, because it feels like they always think.
How about typical? Okay, typical then.
Yeah.
Or on a typical, because on any night of the week, you can see some of the biggest names in comedy. Or I'm trying to think. You're right. I mean, I get the point. On an average night, it's not this kind of a come down. So you say or
because they're still excited to be there. So you don't want to bust that excitement.
On some magic night, you can see some of the biggest names in comedy. Or tonight, me. Tonight, me. Tonight, me is good.
Something like that. Like something that just doesn't like make them feel like they came on a bad night.
Yeah.
Because as somebody that runs clubs and stuff, like you don't want to ever make the audience feel like they missed out. By coming on a Tuesday instead of a Saturday. Right.
I actually texted.
Your mic's getting weird.
I texted. Who did I text about this? Rich Scheidner, because I asked him about that joke that everybody. I know people do the version of that joke, which is like, "I'm someone you can afford," like we say, or "I'm someone in your price range," or "I'm someone like," which I think is a really funny joke, but obviously it's not my joke. But I thought there was a way to do maybe a version of that joke that could be more make more original, or about folks, I'm like a Costco comedian. I'm, I'm somebody, once again, but I don't want to, like I said, don't, you always tell me, don't.
There's a line. Yeah. There's a line to it. I was headlining a Funny Bone in Des Moines and
that's funny right there.
Yeah. Right. It was like 300 people in the crowd, and it was like sold out. And then I looked out into the crowd and I was like, raise your hand if you know who I am. Nobody raised their hand.
Nobody. Right.
And I go, that's the thing about comedy. You'll just go to a comedy show. You won't just go say, hey, there's music. We got to make sure who's playing or whatever. But with comedy, and that's the beauty of a road club, is people will just come out sometimes if they don't know you. But
and it's funny because people
humbling,
say, they always say you may have seen him on. This next guy, you may have seen him on the Letterman show. You may have seen him on you have seen him, which is even funnier. You've seen him on the Craig Ferguson. You've seen him. It's like 90% of the people have not seen me on those shows, right? Like no. How many people have actually seen me? So why are you lying to the audience? No one has seen me on any of those shows. I don't know why you're saying whatever.
Well, sometimes there's one nerdy guy that's like, I loved you on that, or something. Once in a while, you'll get one or two people that actually may have seen Crashing or may have seen Letterman or something, and you'll be like, oh, cool, But, very far and few between. But I think it's something to talk about. The idea of just what keeps comedy going is people just hoping that they can trust. There's a trust in a good club. That's why clubs are important, that they're ran well and booked well. So people come out. I mean, people in Long Island, they may know 5 Italian dudes, at Governors or whatever, but everybody else, half the time, they don't know who that is because they're not podcast people. They're not internet people. So they just show up. It's a night out. It's a Saturday at Governors. And who's going to be here? We don't know. Let's just hope he's good. The poster looks good. You got a couple of credits under it. And then they show up. And then, hopefully you're good. And hopefully they're good.
Right. We walked at him.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah,
we totally
he's working on some stuff. He's working on some stuff. He's got some stuff in the studio. There's they're doing
that.
Stuff.
It looks like a puppet show. They're filming a puppet show there or something.
Yeah. But I got a joke. Let's see. I don't know if we should wait for our producer to come back, but
no, well, set it up. Do it. Our producer. Set it up. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I think it's the ideal that people are freaking out, with all the craziness in the world, and I think you find a way to cope. What some people cope with like a 6-pack and country music. Some people cope with like Tai Chi and Starbucks. People are like, aren't you concerned about the downfall of society? It's like nothing 2 dogs and a latte won't fix. You know what I mean? Like the idea of we is opposite ends of the world of coping, but it's still at the end of the day, it's like we all have something that's getting us through this chaos.
Right. Right.
And so just the funny of 6-pack and country music and Tai Chi and a latte, what the 2 different worlds of we're all in this together when it comes to either you're right and you're mad at the left or you're left and you can't believe the right. But you find there's something that's keeping you going. It's yoga or line dancing, whatever it is.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And the funniness of what the 2 separate things are that gets us through. That's dancing on one, yoga on the other, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, one man's coke is another man's one man's line dancing, another man's cocaine or a heroin or methamphetamine or OxyContin. OxyContin's funny somewhere within there. You use OxyContin, I knit. Or what I mean? It's got to be. It's got to be that. It's got to be that extreme.
You get fentanyl. I have unshelled pistachios. Whatever it is, it's something kind of.
You're
crazy.
into autoerotic asphyxiation, and I scrapbook. Right?
Scrapbook's a funny word.
Yeah, it's like I'm into scrapping. You're into autoerotic asphyxiation. I'm into scrapbooking. Everyone has a coping mechanism, right?
Yeah, whatever gets you through. I think is a fun line. Whatever gets you through.
Whatever gets you through. I think it's funny that pot was legalized. I think the whole the timing of pot being legalized. This could be in there somewhere. Your bit, but pot being legalized. How coincidental is it that pot was legalized just before there was all this, COVID and unrest and everything and the collapse of society. Thank God they really legalized pot just in time, right? Because I don't know what New York City would be like if they hadn't legalized pot. There's no way. Pot is everywhere in New York.
Well, it's not fair. If I had a time machine, I'd start drinking now. And get sober later.
wait, I don't get it. What are you saying?
No, it's I'm sober through all of this. And if I did a time machine, I would just start drinking now instead of then and just have this would be my drinking years just because it's so crazy right now.
That's funny. The idea that different times, nobody was getting hammered during the Holocaust, and they really had a reason to drink, like World War I, World War II. All
they
these
were getting
things
hammered. They were getting hammered.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm just using that as the most extreme example. But there's something funny about that. There's something funny about the fact that I love we're watching this little show going on in the background, right? There's construction How you doing? Put that over there, all right? And then move that, not for nothing, but this is where this goes, and I'm very unhappy about the lighting.
Just for those of you listening, our producer's he's doing some ladder work while we're trying to focus on jokes. But our ADD is so bad we can't not notice.
There's some architectural changes being made in the background of Adam's video while we're doing the podcast, and we're narrating it.
But we won't do that because it doesn't translate. But anyway.
No, it doesn't. It's not funny at all.
It's funny. I was listening to you guys the whole time too.
I believe you. I knew you. I knew you would.
At the same time.
I was like feeding you lines, like, all right, I want this freaking scaffolding moved over here. Not for nothing, but I don't like this lighting is in my eyes. Yeah, that was funny.
But yeah, the different times of like, this would be the time to be like, hey, acid would be fun. Like it's just, it's funny how, it's like I look back on my drink. But one thing I always say,
that's funny. That's funny is that they're going to have to up the game. They're going to have to as things more collapse in society, they're going to keep legalizing more and more drugs. And they're keeping up the ante a little. And so if you stick around long enough, by the year 2030, people they'll be selling heroin at Panera Bread. You know what I mean? Something like that, not funny. That, but
yeah, but you could start with like weed's legal and then get to that. That's the funny place to go. You're going to be able to buy, heroin in bulk at Costco, something like that.
Yeah. You will be able to 14, but different flavors of heroin.
Yeah. Hawaiian punch heroin, please.
Yeah. You'll be doing, There'll be so many brands of heroin. There'll be heroin stations. There'll be heroin tasting menus. That's coming, right? Yeah. LSD. Blotter acid will be, be sold on, I
mean, they're already doing mushroom treatments, and you go to the woods. I mean, with a group, like it's close to that already.
Yeah.
It's like, I never thought mushrooms would be so accepted, and now people putting them in teas before they start their day.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely gone. It's gotten pretty far now.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
There's something funny about the fact, especially coming from you, because you've got the background in addiction.
I got the background of a lost soul. Yes,
you got the street cred. You got the street cred. I got something. Oh, I was working on. I know we talked about this already, but
of course we did. What do you got?
Yeah. No, it's that I used to want to be funny. I was supposed to be funny. My whole life I wanted to be funny. And now nobody cares if I'm funny. They want to know if I have followers. Okay. And I talk about this with the audience, and
we worked on that last week. Yeah.
Yes. And I used Jesus, but I was like, I don't really like using Jesus in that space. But I tried to shoehorn. I said, my any rep I talk to, any agent or anything in the industry, anyone in the industry is like, do you have followers? How many followers? I want to be funny. Well, I'm a comedian, not a cult leader, right? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That was, and then I was like, Jim Jones had a lot of followers, and that didn't end up too well. I used him instead of Jesus, which I think is kind of funny, but I don't really
worked on that. We worked on the whole Jim Jones thing.
Oh, we did. Sorry.
Yeah.
I blanked. Moving on. Cut this. We mentioned Kool-Aid. We mentioned mass suicide.
We mentioned all of it. You did a whole Jim Jones. I was telling you it was an old reference, and we tried to come up with a newer reference, and then we did the whole thing. That was last week. Dementia is real,
I have
guys.
no memory
Dementia
anymore.
is real. Comedy.
I cut this, Adam. Cut this.
No.
Have the guy in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Have the guy in Sri Lanka cut this. Right.
Sri Lanka.
Have the Sri Lankan guy.
I was trying to come up with an image.
Did you try the Ben and Jerry's thing? I tried it, and it was miserable. I couldn't pull off that thing that you can pull off, where it's just like, the gods of strip kids are starving. The trying to be.
I can do that. I didn't do it. You texted me.
You can have it.
You can text me.
I realized
you can
I don't
try
want
it.
to say gods of starving.
How did you say
children.
it? How did you say it?
I forget. I just kind of set it up where it's just like, it's like, oh no, now he's gone. Now they've gone too far. White people aren't going to get their chunky monkey. And then those starving Israeli, starving Gaza Strip kids. I did it right. It just didn't fit with me on what I was talking about. Cause I feel like you kind of have to have some sort of like political narrative to kind of bring them in. If it comes out of nowhere, it just feels like it's just, mean or whatever. But if you have some sort of, it's connected to something. I didn't really have it connected to anything. I was just trying it out. So I feel like when you're connecting it to something, I feel like you can, pull off things a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it has to fit your character. It has to be connected to what came before. Yeah. I got a lot of, I did that restaurant bit that we've worked on several times. I know we're not going to bring it up again, but I have yet to find any coherent narrative in which that bit fits anywhere in my act on any level. Like it always sounds contrived when I go, service is going downhill. The waiter comes over to my table. He gives you a big speech. And then I launch into this long diatribe, and it's so tacked on. I
think you could just be like, give it up for your wait staff tonight, and you're in.
I've done that.
Okay.
But what's the next line? Okay. Yeah. Thank God these people are not like the waiters at these restaurants where they talk a lot. The audience doesn't really experience this very much. I think the audience doesn't know what I'm talking about. They go, well, I've never went to a restaurant where the guy gave that big a speech. It's not like a big problem in America. Like I'm making it like it really happened, and it's constantly happening that waiters are giving a TED talk.
Well, you got to make fun of them because their fine dining experience is Chili's. And so you have to somehow make fun of them that they don't go out to fancy restaurants because they're not a superstar, rock star comedian like you are. So you people, you're worried about the apps at TGIF. I go to nice places.
I get dragged. Well, see, but once again, this is an interesting discussion because I don't know. That's really interesting. Like how, so you're saying berate the audience in one sense by saying, you know what I mean? Say to the audience, you guys are lucky. You got to worry about Chili's. Because I'm a big star comedian, I get dragged into these ritzy places and I don't need it. But even then, the guy comes, I then launch into a character. It's like a Lily Tomlin bit, where it's like, welcome everyone to Pretentious 2, an adventure in eating. It's just kind of, And
well, I think it's that everything is pretentious. Once you get to a certain level of, people are paying for pretentiousness. Like that's what you pay for. Like when you for private jets to fancy restaurants to hotels, you go to a Super 8. There's nobody waiting at your car trying to get your bags. There's nobody bothering you and following you around or whatever. But the more expensive the hotel, there's like 3 guys that won't leave you alone.
Right.
And so it's like you're paying for that.
No, I totally get that. I just don't think that's the problem. I think the frame has to become something completely unrelated to any of this. It has to be almost something like why is this guy suddenly a waiter in a restaurant doing a 3-minute bit with all these obscure, bizarre jokes in it? It just comes out of nowhere, and it isn't justified. The scaffolding that you're discussing in the comic bit
is justified. It's because most of the waiters are actors and want to be comedians, and I think that's part of it too. People in the arts end up being waiters, and in between gigs, they're giving you a monologue on just shrimp rolls.
Okay, that's potential. That has potential.
Yeah,
that's theatrical. It justifies the theatricality of it because what I've been doing with it is just this character just comes out of nowhere, and the jokes are so funny.
Because the worst thing a Juilliard grad can do is be a waiter at a high-end restaurant. Because
people are struggling. The kids today, Gen Z, they get these educated kids, and they get a performing arts degree, and they're working at Chili's. But they try to shoehorn a speech
funny
in.
Too. There's something really funny too. You using that same framework as a Chili's waiter, and given he has the same pretentiousness of talking about the potato skins, as the other restaurant guy, that is really funny too, because it's it's true. A diced potato and it was aged at right. And like you talking about it like that, like at a Chili's talking about the fajitas. That's funny.
Yeah, see, that's fun. That's a totally different frame.
And like I would try it out. I think it's funny.
Yeah, where you go to Chili's and they're the wait. I just
he's treating it like it's a Michelin star restaurant. We're in Chili's, and then he's going off like that's funny.
Isn't this Chili's? Like the guy's giving a speech. We're at Chili's.
The only thing Michelin in this restaurant is that tire on the wall.
That's funny. Does anyone know? Hey, Adam, does anyone know what the Michelin tire, the Michelin ratings are? Because I barely know that.
Because of the bear, people know more about restaurants than they used to.
Yeah, it's Jay. You're in Chili's. You know, the guy's giving a dramatic monologue. See, that's close to almost being there, like where that might work, where it's like an actor. But then what's it about?
Yeah.
See, that's the key. That's the key, Dustin. Is it? This is an actor who's forced to, and he wants to do a monologue because he has no other way to act.
I think that backstory is better than you just randomly in a restaurant.
That's true. Oh, it's better. I'm just saying, okay, well, that solved the problem, because the second frame that you had was, no, it's any waiter, but he loves to be, but he's being
you
pretentious.
Could do both. You could do the one, you could do and then the same guy gets fired and works at Chili's. You could do the same guy. And you could be like, he's at the high end restaurant, and then he got fired because whatever, and then he uses the same shit over at Chili's, and then it's that's funny. Because you keep it going. You have him talking about aged Kobe beef, and then you have him talking about potato skins and fajitas, and with the same tone and the same pretentiousness. Yeah. I think that's a bigger joke, and I think it's funny.
Baked, black and fried, or beaten to death by Mormons. I'm trying to think of like how the joke would.
Yeah, well, that's you just going into the lab and doing that thing you do, and it'll be great. But I think but the idea of it, I think, is it could be funny if you like piggyback it with him getting fired and working at Chili's. I think.
That's an interesting twist. That's a really good twist. I think that might have some potential, because I don't ordinarily. Yeah, that bit. I put that bit, what I call like death row. I said, all right, I'm going to do that bit 3 more times. It never works unless I stumble on a crowd where that I'm killing, where they go along with me on everything. But that bit, in the context of the rest of my act, 90% of the time I'm killing. And then there's this massive dip where the audience is like just suddenly going, wait a minute, we're in a restaurant and you're sort of an effeminate waiter and you're talking about moray eels that are being flambéed like at the bottom of the ocean.
If you talk about a waiter with a headshot, then it makes more sense.
Yeah, I think when I first wrote the bit, that was the intention, was like he's an actor and he wants to make everything dramatic, but I don't think I fleshed it out or stuck with it enough. To all the waiters in show business, they look for any opportunity to give you a monologue. Hi everyone, and welcome to Pretentious 2, an adventure in eating, where all the dishes are prepared organically and the people washing them are here illegally. My name is Lancelot. Like maybe that'll work. I
think play with the idea, because it really could go places too. You got a bartender who's
that might work. That actually might work. I'm gonna try that tonight.
Yeah, try with the idea, because it's like that'll write itself pretty quickly with your brain, and I think it's just a funny way to play and see that it's not a joke that you can't get out of quickly. So it's like even if it starts to get whatever, you could just go somewhere. You have that ability. So it's like it's just sometimes jokes like that are good to try, because it's already goes with the thing you're doing, and it's like I think it'll work. But you got to give a reason for a character. That's what I've noticed with character stuff.
Yeah, I always, I'm usually pretty good at finding a frame, but that one has vexed me. It just makes no sense.
I think that's the way to do it. At least try it that way, where it's just like this guy, or you could just talk about it's hard being an actor. It's like you gotta get a headshot, you gotta spend all this money, and you gotta get an agent, you gotta get on Actors Access, you gotta have a monologue, and then just so you can work at Chili's. you know, and then boom, 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 that kind of thing. And then it's like, you know, something like that works, or just so you can be a waiter and then you go into the high end waiter and then you back to Chili's. So yeah, I think both ways it works. You could either just try it, you know, just a little bit of the backstory with the original joke you already have, or you could, if you feel it, you could go piggyback with the Chili's thing, because it just gives it a little. And they know Chili's. If they don't know the high end restaurant, they may laugh. It might be the conclusion to the laugh you're looking for once you go into Chili's, because that they do know. For sure, they know that. They may not know this life you live in a fancy restaurant, but they'll definitely know what, you know, buffalo wings and potato skins life is. And so I think it's a funny place. You're covered either way.
Yeah. No, that's got potential. That's got a lot. That might, because all you need is to just slip it in so the audience understands the point of view of the whole thing, and then it's you know. Yeah,
and it's just fun to bring that guy to Chili's. That's hilarious. That's a character right there. That's almost like a sitcom character where he works at a high end restaurant, he gets fired, and then he has to take a job at Chili's, but he's still got that mindset. And they're like, you don't have to wear a tuxedo. It's Chili's.
Right. Yeah. That's funny. You don't have to wear a tuxedo. It's Chili's. Okay.
Yeah. Like, you know, like stuff like that is a very funny, like, you know, like Felix Hunger. Is that the one, the couple? That's the uptight guy, right? Like Felix Hunger as a waiter at Chili's is funny.
That's
the
true.
idea of that. It's like that kind of person that, you know, at Chili's, you know, is funny. And, you know,
that's good. All right.
Like, the more class you have working a more blue collar type place is always funny. It's the fish.
Well, you know what? You know what's really, you know what's ironic about this, and not many people would realize this. Just, you know, the only thing, what's making this joke work right now is the word Chili's.
Yeah. Oh,
like seriously, that is the
always funny.
It's a game changer. Just
always funny and still around.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you, I was trying to come up with a name for the restaurant, Pretentious 2, and it was the first thing I thought of, and I just kept using it. Never got a laugh, never worked. Nobody understands what I'm, you know, it's sort of, and it never worked. Like, not like, it never set up the bit very well. But I'm like, Pretentious 2. It's like, I don't even know what that even means, but it was just a space holder.
You could even do a real restaurant, like French Laundry. Like, there's some fancy restaurants. So you could just, if you've been to one, and I'm sure the name is Pretentious without you having to make it up.
I tried to find one. I never did. I was never able to come up with a name.
French Laundry's pretty good. That's kind of a weird name. That's a
like
fancy
le food de eat, you know, like you know, like you want to
French, something that it's like even like a foreign word is funny or something. Yeah, but I don't think that's as important. But once you get to Chili's, I mean, it's the laughs are on, baby.
Now let's. I want to know. Thank you for that. Now, Adam, what's going on with Carlos MCI?
CIA.
Well, you guys, CIA.
He's in the CIA.
What's the latest?
Well, we could give him the premise.
Give him the premise.
Yeah, no. Ask Carlos Menciai what, and I don't know what the prompt is. It's almost like I don't even want the joke.
I think this prompt, to get it to work, would be like a pretentious waiter working at Chili's, giving you
what's a comedy?
Giving you the specials of the day. That would be the easy way for this, you know, ending segment here.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So just so you get an idea. Yeah,
I almost want to ask AI, hey, give me a good segue. How do I seriously? I want to get that specific. I'm not even joking. I go, what's a good way to ramp into a bit about a pretentious way?
That's how you become an AI comic, is you ask it for things that you can come up with if you just go to the lab.
Yeah, because I need a good solid segue from one of my other pieces to how am I suddenly transformed into an effeminate waiter who works in a high-end restaurant.
We already wrote it. You don't need AI.
No, I know. Now I want to know what AI is going to say for the jokes now.
All right, you can't get too complicated with AI.
And maybe the jokes aren't as funny as I think they are, because I keep going, these jokes are great. It's just a frame. Maybe the jokes suck. That's another problem, you know? Maybe.
I don't think the jokes suck, but I think like it's you kind of have to be in a world of experiencing, a waiter talking too much like that. Like, not,
because nobody seems to be.
Yeah, it's like, and I feel like it's just one of those things where it's like if you're exposed to it, then it's probably like if you did that bit at a country club, you're gonna kill. Those people go to fine restaurants.
That's context.
Like I tried to do a joke about like, flying private and be like, oh, it's great. Nobody touches you. And you get on the thing and everybody's looking at me like, really? You're going to talk to us about flying private?
Right. Yeah. That's what you're going to do?
Yeah. Really? Oh, is life hard for you? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got something.
Oh, man. Yep. Looks too long already. All right, what do you got?
Let me tell you about an experience I had recently. I was at Chili's. That's right, Chili's, the epitome of haute cuisine. Now, I'm not expecting a lot from a Chili's waiter, right? I mean, we're not at a 5-star Michelin restaurant here, but this guy, he took his job more seriously than a heart surgeon. He saunters over to the table, acting like he's on the red carpet. I half expected him to ask me who I was wearing. I'm like, buddy, it's a Walmart t-shirt, not Versace. Then he starts to list the specials. Now you're probably thinking, what specials? It's Chili's. I'm here for the baby back ribs and margaritas, not the chef selection. But he's going on about the pan-seared, cage-free, hand-fed chicken breast, drizzled with a reduced balsamic glaze and served on a bed of locally sourced quinoa. I'm like, sir, this is a Chili's. And then he moves on to the artisanal deep dish pizza topped with organic heirloom tomatoes and hand-shredded imported mozzarella. I had to stop him. I said, wait, are we still at Chili's? Did I accidentally walk into a posh Italian bistro? He didn't even crack a smile. Just kept stone-faced and said, yes, sir, we take our food very seriously here. Now, I'm all for taking your job seriously, but buddy, you're trying to sell me a $15 pizza at a Chili's, not a Picasso at an auction. Now, relationships can be confusing, right? But nothing is more confusing than a pretentious waiter at Chili's.
Okay.
Parts of it are okay. And then it just gets a little weird.
It's all over the map. It's like
the fact that the Picasso reference. I mean, good for you, AI. But but the tone is right. I think you kind of have that tone of like high energy, like this is a Chili's. Like when you get angry on stage, is very funny.
Yes.
So I think the idea of kind of like, I'm not in Italy, or like, just the idea of that tone is on point, I guess. But but it's just not.
It's so painful to listen to that guy. Can I just say that?
Imagine being the real audience to him.
I mean, really, it's just like, I guess. And the sad part is, I know 10 guys like that. Like,
well, maybe we'll change our AI to different. That'd be really funny.
Yeah,
we could do different AI comedians, ones that we actually respect. Because I would love to hear like Mitch Hedberg, do some of our premises. I would love to hear like Bill Hicks. I would love to hear, that would be funny. We just take different comedians really through history to like, what does Pryor have to say about chicken wings, or what does
waiters?
What does Kinnison have to say about abortion? Like this would be really funny to hear some of these people do.
Yeah, no, that's really. I mean, I actually think that the guy. The way that voice is actually kind of perfect for AI because it's so hacky,
that's the hacky angle. The other angle is like tribute and like respect and be like, what would the AI Pryor say?
Yeah. Because
it'd be interesting.
No, definitely. I think that's something because I'm looking up I was like, you can have crab's legs, chicken wings, or turkey rotator cuffs. That's kind of funny. Right. I thought rotator cuffs is funny. But I wrote literally 15 pages of jokes for this. Like, and I can't get into the bit. It's like having a house, but you don't have the key to the house. Like I built the house, but I didn't.
It's like a musical theater, like waiter or something could be funny. You could even sing part of the specials. There's so many places you could play with the idea of somebody being
musical. Musical theater. I like that. Hold on, that's actually good. Musical, like a musical theater. major from Kenosha, Wisconsin or something. And I feel bad.
Like this is his big break. He doesn't, because he doesn't know who he's serving. So like everything is an audition,
That's fine. Everything he treats everything like an audition. That's funny. What does he treat like an audition? He treats every
customer
meal,
like
every recitation of the menu. And then you ask him to read
every
the menu.
course. Every course is an audition.
Turns into an audition, and you ask him for the specials, and it's just he gives you an audition.
His closing monologue.
What's that?
His closing monologue, or the entree, something like that.
I want the menu. I get a monologue. That's good. That's good. Menu monologue is good. I like the wording of that. Right.
Yeah.
Right? I just want the menu, not a monologue. That's great. I like that. That's simple. Yeah. Just give me the menu, not a monologue. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's like a line that you can hook a bit to it. Right.
You know what monologue is like. Yeah.
Yes. Because I was saying, I don't want to remember we wrote, I don't want a TED talk. I want tater tots. We wrote but that's better.
Because you set up the idea that he's in the arts or whatever, and so it's funnier. It keeps being funnier once you keep going back to the arts. It stays funnier.
Yeah, so you hear that?
Because when you said TED talk, you're kind of like, who is this guy? Like, is he
right? That doesn't make any sense. But a monologue, menu monologue, that's friggin' great.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah,
that's how we do it, folks. That's how we do it.
Well, folks, that's our show. It's time for us to go. Make sure to follow us, give us a like, drop us a comment, and always subscribe. We're Chasing Comedy on all the socials. We hope you had a gas, had some laughs, and maybe you learned something too. Until next time, we're Brian and Dustin, and we're Chasing Comedy.